And now, your main event. Introducing the hosts of Wrestling with Freddie, Jeff Dye, and Freddie Prinze Jr.
Welcome back, everybody. Thanks for supporting us for 5 years now. We really, really appreciate that. This weekend, last weekend, was WrestleMania Weekend. We get 2 nights of it now and have for a few years now. I think 3. Is this the 3rd year they've done it like that?
Yeah.
But
they're going to make SummerSlam 2 nights is what I'm hearing. Do you think that's a good idea?
I don't think more wrestling is a bad thing, and they're in a position where they can afford to make mistakes. So even if it is a mistake, they just won't do it again, and they're not going to go out of business. So they can afford to experiment and try things out, which is always good for wrestling. But Jeff, we're going to talk about the whole show. But before we do, you got to be in Las Vegas, the city where I have many friends, where I have some family. A lot of people that I love are in Las Vegas, and I wanted to be there. I almost went with an actor buddy of mine, but he wasn't able to go, and my wife booked a movie, so I have to stay and watch the kids while she goes and kicks ass on that. And I can't even say it yet because it's not announced yet. But yeah, you got to be our man on the scene, our man in the streets, and you got to not just be there, but you got to freaking hang out too, and just be a dude with other dudes that happen to wrestle in a professional ring. So tell everybody about your experience, and I don't care how long it takes. Go ahead.
Oh, I'll keep it short. Night 1 and night 2 wrestling in Las Vegas was pretty awesome. Wrestling fans are great. I'm just like, every time I go to one of those things, I'm just like, I love wrestling fans so much. Just like, even when they're doing something that makes me like roll my eyes and chuckle, like it's constant, like it's just constant. I'm like, I love these people. Yeah. It's such a funny fan base and a great fan base and a loyal fan base, and they'll buy everything and anything. Like they're just the greatest fans, and I had a great time just being a fan. Night 1, I was like 8 rows back, when you're not on the floor, 8 rows is kind of far, so it was kind of hard to see. And I always go, like, let's say you guys didn't get a chance to go to WrestleMania. Let's say like you weren't one of the 63,000 people in attendance, if those numbers are real. You did it right. You know, you watched it on pay-per-view, or you watched it on Peacock. Like that's I think that's the way to do it, because I want to hear Michael Cole. I want to hear Pat McAfee. I want to hear Wade Barrett. And so, you know, when you're there, you don't get the commentary. You just hear the real loud mat slamming, and you get to brag that you're there, and you do get to be with the other great wrestling fans. But I think you did it right if you stay at home. Night 1, I was like in row 8, but not on the floor, but just in the 100 level. And then in night 2, I was in Stone Cold Steve Austin's suite. Now, another part, you might go, well, that's fun, right, Jeff, the suite? But here's the problem with wrestling, or like WWE or TKO or whoever's in charge. When me and you went to WrestleMania, Freddie, and we had a suite, and when I went to Steve Austin's suite on night 2, WWE for some reason won't let them put the feed of the program into any of the monitors. So if you get a suite for a sporting event, you have all these TVs also playing the thing, but wrestling doesn't do that. So when you go wait in a line for a hot dog or a sandwich or a pizza, you don't even get to see the action of what's going on, because wrestling doesn't have it on any of the TVs. So that's also terrible, in my opinion. So if you stayed home and watched it on Peacock, you did it right. You did the right thing. I was at both nights of WrestleMania, and I still came home and watched all the matches on my iPad because I wanted to hear the commentary. I wanted those great shots that wrestling does. I wanted to see all the things I missed because someone's talking to me or people are making jokes around me. So if you could do both experiences like I did, I would recommend that. But I think you did it right if you watched it on Peacock.
The commentary was so great, and all 3 men were Wade Barrett, Pat McAfee, and Michael Cole did such a great job in helping tell the stories that the wrestlers were trying to tell in there. I love commentary so much, whether it's the UFC, regardless of the crew they put together. I really enjoy all the different crews they have there. when it's WWE, I love it. Sometimes in WWE, they get it wrong, right? Like they've done the Mike Adamleys of the world, where he came in and like didn't know people's names and didn't know the moves.
Tough.
And it was tough. I was the guy that had to basically fire him or let him know he was getting fired when I worked there. Yeah, I had to give him the segment where he slapped Randy across the face, and he goes, "Well, wait a minute. If I strike a wrestler, wouldn't I be like fired?" And I was like, well, yeah, I'm just the guy bringing you the news.
Yeah, you're also allowed to flirt with anyone at work you want now because you're not going to be here tomorrow. So go ahead and break all the rules. Just break all the rules.
No, I did not advise him to do that. But yeah, man, the commentary was phenomenal. They've got such a great thing going with McAfee and Michael Cole, and their chemistry and their kind of mutual respect and love for one another is so evident, and they just let it flow. And this was never a thing when I worked there, Jeff. It just didn't. Vince had handcuffs on people, and Vince sometimes he had good notes too, but with commentary, they were handcuffed, and they had to just call the match and use only the words that he allows them to use as far as describing the match and the moves and the wrestlers that are in the ring. And on top of that, he would then tell them what to say on there. And you could just feel how tight it was so often. And people go, Michael Cole sucks, and talk trash. Michael Cole doesn't suck. He didn't then, he doesn't now. But now to see with Triple H back there, and you can really kind of just tell they're doing their thing. Like, it is awesome, and the commentary is fantastic. Yeah, dude. Yes, let them cook. So they did a great job. But we're not here just to talk about the commentators. We're here to talk about professional wrestling. Major news, Jeff. It means one less indie promotion available to purchase, but that's okay.
Yes.
But WWE has purchased or acquired AAA Lucha Libre. They're going to do a great job with it. They've got Vikingo, who is the friggin' man. Yeah, they're going to crush. They've got a lot of interesting characters.
Can you explain to our
there.
Listeners and to your co-host, Jeff Dye, what does it mean that they've bought this? Does that mean AAA, which I'm a member, by the way, shout out to AAA, does that mean that that's not going to be the name anymore, and now those people are just in WWE, or what does it mean?
So legally, they could change it if they wanted to. I don't believe they will. I think they'll keep it under the same banner, the way they kind of let Evolve stay under its banner with their TV deal on Tubi. AAA will probably go to eventually, I don't know, they'll probably just pull from it and allow it to be a farm system, like a Ring of Honor type thing. But they have some really interesting characters in AAA, much more like old school Carney type characters, like origins of wrestling. It's great for that company, for Dorian and all of them down there. I wish them nothing but tons of success, and their wrestlers are going to have an opportunity to get seen all over the freaking world now on a grand scale. And like I said, they got some interesting characters. I was taking a peek at them last year when I had aspirations of doing this, and they've got a really cool roster, man. And they're funky, and it's really old school, and they've got some living legends right now. Like, if you haven't seen Vikingo wrestle, go check out. He did some AEW matches and was phenomenal, but check out his AAA stuff. It's it's friggin' if you like Lucha Libre, it's next level, and his look is gangster. He looks like one of the Vikings from the Viking show, but a little one, because he's a little dude who can flip all over the place.
Well, if you know me, you know that I love Mexican wrestling. That's
dude.
That's like my favorite thing. There's the big five, or I don't know if it's the big four or the big five. Wrestling is America, Pacific Islanders, Hawaii, Japan, because that's a huge part of wrestling, the Canadians, and then there's Mexico. And Mexico is by far my favorite style of wrestling. Our producer said that there's a chance it could be rebranded as like NXT Mexico, which I would be such a fan of. But any more luchadors in WWE, I say sign them all. Sign them all up.
Let's get into some matches. Night one, the World Heavyweight Championship. Gunther, the champ, versus Jay Uso, the challenger. A long time ago, over a year ago, I was on, I think it was Bully Ray's podcast, maybe. What was that called? Busted Open Radio. Mm-hmm. And they were asking me the upcoming next gen who I thought was going to be like the next star. And I said Jay Uso. And this was still like when he was in the Bloodline, and you and I were talking about his acting, and I thought his acting was getting really good, and the way he was sort of having a hard time choosing between what was right and wrong and his own morality within the morality of the Bloodline, I thought was super interesting. And to see him sort of go from that to literally changing the what chant to a yeet chant and making a negative thing a positive thing. I don't know how he did it. I don't know if he knows how he did it, but he fucking did it. And that's a powerful thing to have that kind of manipulation over an entire crowd. And it's all come to fruition. He is the champ. He gets the singles run. The crowd loves his promos. They love being a part of the show. That's what wrestling fans love. They love being a part of the show, that they can actually affect what's going on. That's a powerful thing. It doesn't exist in Broadway as much, right? Like you're expected to sort of sit there, shut up, and enjoy the show, right? But in wrestling, it's a different experience. It's like going to the Rocky Horror Picture Show and throwing toast at the screen when they say a toast, or now at the Minecraft movie where the kids are going bananas.
I was just gonna say that,
yeah, right. Like that's the wrestling interaction. They crave that. They want that. And this was such a payoff in the same way that like Jeff Hardy was such a payoff to the fans. This is such a payoff to the fans for believing in this dude, for buying his merch, for getting behind his promos, getting behind his matches. And I was just so happy to see this win. And Gunther's the friggin' man. Like, all his matches just look brutal. By the way, almost all the matches that we saw looked like real fights. I thought, like, they were like, yo, we're going hard today. Tomorrow we're going to hurt, but we're going hard today. Because it was like beast mode times 10 out there. But that match was so good. It was a great way to open the show. And I friggin' love Jey Uso. I hope that you love this too. I don't know if you like Jay as much as I do, but I love this match.
Yeah, I mean, I will say, and this could be just, this is just me speaking freely here. I feel like they did a terrible job of leading up to this. I wasn't crazy excited for Jey Uso versus Gunther. I think that they could have given it a lot more. Just, that's my personal opinion. I also am just not on the Jey Uso as the guy. Like, I'm not, like, I don't see him as the guy. I love him. I think he's talented. No shame on Jey Uso. Big fan. But, you can't just give yourself the moniker main event Jay. I mean, also you're opening. You're the opener. We made main event Jay open the thing.
Fair play on that.
You should be opener Jey Uso. So I wasn't crazy into it, but the actual match opening up the thing, everyone excited. There is a real buzz when he came out. Like, as far as like, there's just an energy that he brought. So it was a really good way to start the show. And I didn't care about the match till the match started. You know what I'm saying? Like, usually you care leading all the way up to WrestleMania. And then
I did. You did.
I didn't care at all. But then when the match started, it was a good match, and I actually really enjoyed it when I was watching it, and I liked it. But a little too late for me.
I like when they look like fight scenes in movies, and they had like a lot of parts in there that looked like fight scenes, and those are my favorite types of matches.
What's next for Gunther, do you think?
Not everyone can be pushed at the same time, right? And I think now more than ever, these guys and girls understand and know that, and there's less ego than back in the old days, right? When you could kind of like hold Vince hostage at a pay-per-view and say, no, I want an extra $100,000 or I'm not wrestling. Like, those days are done. People's egos have to be more in check and balanced now. I'm not saying everyone's is, but they have to be more tempered than what they once were. So I think people understand and can do business much more easily now than before, although I'm sure there's still, issues out there. But this wasn't one of them. Gunther, just that guy, I don't know what's next for him, but I don't care. Like, I'll watch. I like
Gunther a lot.
He's super good. And yeah, it's funny, like, my great-grandma was from Austria, right? I don't know if Gunther's actually from Austria or if he's just billed there. Well, I have family that's German and Austrian. My dad was half Puerto Rican, half German-Austrian. And her name was Marie Prutzel, and she was a famous opera singer. And her name is on the Opera House in wherever it is, in Vienna. And I went there when I was filming this movie that nobody liked called Wing Commander. Nobody liked it. And we would rent these motorcycles, me and this other actor, this German dude named Jürgen Prochnow. He's got a great name. Yeah, great freaking name, dude. For sure. It'd be a great wrestler name, too. He goes, do you know how to ride the motorcycle? And I was like, oh, yeah, dude. And he was like, oh, you should come for a ride with me. And so we would go on cruises from Luxembourg all throughout like Europe and just like cruise the city. And I told him, I was like, yo, my great grandma lives up here, performed up here. We should go check it out. And we did. And her name was on the little plaque, dude. And I didn't have like a phone that took pictures back then because this is the old days. I wish I would have. I didn't take a picture. It just has to stay in my brain. But anyway, shout out to Gunther. I want us to have time to talk about like the greatest WrestleMania match I've seen in I don't know how long. And that was Seth Rollins versus CM Punk versus Roman Reigns for the no championship, just for pride, respect. What else? Conquest.
They were fighting for Paul E. Heyman. That was the prize. You know, he's the most.
They should have put him in a shark cage above the ring like Dominic Mysterio. And we'll get into Dominic later, I promise, because this podcast loved him first. But the triple threat. All right, look, I don't know how to wrestle, and I don't know how to be an agent and go, you know what you should do around the 10th minute is a flying. Like I don't pretend to know any of that. I never have. This match, just the wrestling, if there was no story, if Paul Heyman wasn't even in the match, I was like, yo, where are my kids right now? How are they not seeing this? Like, it was so good, and every dude looked great, and every dude got the crap kicked out of them, and every dude made saves, and every dude took the best shots from guys. I mean, Roman Reigns literally landed on top of Seth Rollins outside the ring at one point. And I was just like, oh, my God, like these guys are just like fighting for real and they like each other and they're fighting for real. It was so good. And then you add the story of Paul Heyman and you have to take this story way the heck back all the way to Bloodline, Wise Man, Paul Heyman. Or you could say, Freddie, that's not true. You have to take it back further than that because the story started with CM Punk and Paul Heyman at ECW. And the whole video package that they put together. And you would be right, but I'm just, for sakes of this argument, just recent history. What he and Roman created was awesome, but he had to be the whipping boy, right? Like he has to play the sucker for Roman. He has to play the bitch, so to speak. And that sucks, right? Like you don't want that. And he's had to take that weight for years of being Roman's like lackey instead of being an advocate like he was for Brock Lesnar. Mm-hmm. So you get the double betrayal, right? Because like CM Punk, he tells you why. You made me choose, which is such a great line that only Paul Heyman could deliver. You made me choose. And he doesn't need a writer. He's one of those guys like Cena. They can kind of write for their own promo and you're going to be like, yeah, that's better than whatever. And the fact that he cut that in the middle of the ring for the television audience to hear at home, like really sends that home. You made me choose. Like best line of the night. Better than anything Michael Cole cut. And Michael Cole cut some great lines. But he punches CM Punk in the balls. And then Roman has a great moment where he's like almost crying, like, my man, the wise man is back. Holy shit. And he gets up and Paul Heyman hands him the chair and he's like, remember what Seth Rollins fucking did to you back in the day when you guys were in the Shield? Now you're going to fucking do it to him and fucking do it right now. And Roman Reigns is like, yeah, I am going to do it. Here, back up, Paul Heyman. Let me put you behind me where you're safe. And Paul Heyman's like, yeah, put me behind you where I'm safe, you son of a bitch. Whoop, pow, pow! Yeah. And hit him with the all you can from Street Fighter 2 and got him in the balls.
Got him in the crown jewels.
He did get him into jewels, and then he goes to Seth Rollins, and who he owed the favor to. But it felt like much more than a favor. It felt like, no, this is the direction the company's moving in, and I'm going back to being an advocate. I'm not your best friend, and I'm not your wise man. I'm a fucking player in the wrestling business, and this guy's going to be the top player, and I'm rolling with him. And it was such a great... He's so smart at getting himself over without taking away from the talent that he's trying to help put over. And I don't know anybody in my lifetime that's done it better than him. Like you could say Bobby the Brain was as good, but I wouldn't say he was better. And for my money, Paul Heyman was better at it than Bobby. And I love Bobby Heenan, but Paul Heyman was just so sick with it. And it was so perfect, and the commentators were shitting on him the whole match, man, and just letting him have it, and he could hear him, and he's reacting to it, and you just feel the weight of the world on his shoulders. And then he gets the double middle finger, which was just awesome. And I love this. I'm telling you, I can't think of a better match, and he was a big reason for it being so extra special. I know this is your favorite match of the whole weekend, and I'm crazy if I'm wrong.
Besides El Grande Americano, this was
awesome.
my favorite match. So second favorite match. What a fun position to put Paul Heyman in, as far as he has some storyline with each member involved in a three-way match. That is, I don't remember ever seeing a match in this way, where like they all have this loyalty to this guy, but he has kind of these other loyalties. So I love that. I love that you said he's got the weight of the world on his shoulders. That's what it felt like. You could feel like, man, he's in such an icky position, you know, like he can't be all. What I was hoping he would do was low blow Seth Rollins after he low blowed them. So low blow all three, and then Brock Lesnar's music hits, now he's like, I'm with Brock Lesnar. I was like, I know,
triple shot.
Yeah, I know that's all kayfabe and whatever, like in the real world of all the bad things that are happening in real life, that's never a possibility, or it wasn't going to be a possibility, but I was like, that'd have been so good. Or maybe he low blows Punk, he low blows Roman, then he low blows Seth, and he just leaves, and we're all like, that was strange. He has loyalty to nobody, he's going in the business for himself, and then they moved him to like the women's division, where he can help out those ladies and make all the women's, like, you know, pick a girl to represent that he just.
I would love for him to rep a female wrestler. I would love for him
because
he would crush that.
I think Bobby Heenan isn't even in the same universe as Paul Heyman.
Really?
And that is not a slander on Bobby Heenan, because I think there isn't anybody in Paul Heyman's universe. I think his mic work, pound for pound, is better than any wrestler we've ever seen, better than any manager we've ever seen, better than any politician we've ever seen. I've never heard anyone be able to pause the timing. I mean, he is like, his sensibilities for that are off the charts. Yeah. I think he's one of a kind, and also what a great story he's had, going from competing against Vince to working with Vince to now succeeding and outlasting Vince. As he's there should be a second Hall of Fame for guys like Paul Heyman.
All right, dude. Tiffany Stratton, she earned her stripes at WrestleMania. And I don't mean because she won, but she bled for her art. And it always felt like, to me, after the Attitude Era, once a wrestler gets cut and you see real blood coming out of their mouth or real blood coming out of their head, the crowd kind of goes, hey, respect. And they kind of give you that nod, right? And until you've bled, they can love you, but they don't really give you that, like, holy shit. And
that's why we respect death matches so much. You go, wow, every one of these guys is bleeding for the art.
Bro, that's literally like blood, sweat, and tears, but in the actual.
That's all they
form.
got is blood.
Oh, but she bled. She took some tough. This was another one that looked like a real fight, man. Like, some of the punches looked so good, and when they were beating on each other's backs, I was just like, "Yo, what? That would hurt so bad if
and we want to believe it's real.
A friend of mine did it.
Because it might be real, you know. Because
they were talking shit. Yeah, they were talking shit in their promos back and forth. So it felt good. It felt real. Charlotte's WrestleMania matches always kind of feel real, like the one with Becky did, the one with Rhea did. This one totally did. And we said on this podcast everyone kind of knew that she had a rocket ship strapped to her back. So now she's a made woman, and now it's going to be sink or swim. And the WWE does this a lot with young new talent. They kind of feed you to the fish, and they see if you're a shark or if you're one of the fish that's going to get eaten by the next potential shark. And they're going to give her a big swing here and see if she can handle the pressures, the weight, the matches, and the promos that are necessary to be the champion. And time will tell. You know, she's super young, so she's got a lot of I don't know how much time she has. Hopefully they're patient and they give her time to learn and develop her craft. I try to equivalent wrestlers evolving to Jalen Rose in commentary. Like when he first started on ESPN, he didn't have it. It just, you could see that something was there, but it was kind of all over the place. And he went from being one of their weaker options to one of their stronger, if not one of their strongest options in the time frame of about a year and a half, 2 years. And that type of growth is, you can kind of see it happening on a week-to-week basis. And I think we'll have to look now, as she's a champ, to see the kind of growth and developments that's there. You're only going to be as good as your writers, right? Like, they have to write for her and to her strengths and keep it in the verbiage that she's going to use. If they're able to pull it off, then they've got physically the kind of champ that I think they're looking for, and not, even though she is like the Barbie doll, she's like a buff Barbie doll kind of. So it's kind of like a more modern champion as opposed to some of the smaller ones that they've had in the past. What did you think?
Yeah, I will say they disrespected Tiffany Stratton. You know, she's the female main event of night one of WrestleMania, and they introduced her first.
They do that from time to time.
I didn't like it.
Okay.
I didn't like the idea.
I got you on that.
And Charlotte comes up in some sort of Rolls Royce and gets like this crazy pyro and all this different stuff. But anyway, so when it came to the match, it was good, and I was very invested in it. Once they got in the ring, it kind of felt like the Jay Uso thing. So it was fine. I like it. My prediction is, this is a Wrestling with Freddie prediction. I think there's going to be a time on this podcast where we're going to say, whoa, Jeff, you're right. They are going to just bring in Mariah May to replace Tiffany Stratton's universe of where I think Mariah May eventually comes over to WWE and they phase out this Tiffany Stratton push.
You think she'll be the new face? She can certainly talk when written well for, and she wrestles like the Japanese wrestlers, which is
exactly
stiff and tough. So fans like her a lot.
She's so easy to get behind. Mariah May is like a very, very, in my opinion, just a more sharp in every single wrestling category than Tiffany Stratton.
Interesante.
That's my prediction.
Very interesting, sir. All right. Jacob Fatu is the new United States champion. I know fans of LA Knight are like, what now? I'll say this. I said it earlier. I'll say it again. Not everyone can get pushed at the same time. LA Knight's super over. Losing the title isn't going to stop one person from going, yeah, when he goes, LA Knight. Like, everyone's still going to cheer. He's bigger than a belt, so he's way over. And it was an earned overship. It wasn't, I'm forced upon the WWE. You will like me. He earned it the old-fashioned way, and so that's not going anywhere. So LA Knight fans, fret not. Do not worry. He'll have plenty of cool storylines. He's going to still cut his cool promos. He's still going to drop the sweet elbow. Everything's going to be cool. The BFT still exists and will be hit, and he'll still win. And eventually he'll be in another title picture. Just not right now. But Freddie's getting older. Look at the freaking shape that dude's in. He's going to be fine. This is not the UFC. He doesn't have to be 26 years old and in the prime of his life. It's all good. But Jacob Fatu is the friggin' man.
Yeah, he's over too. I mean, the match was over two guys that are just super over, so it's not really that shocking.
And his mic work, like, look, he's not Marlon Brando, but he stays true to his style, and his style's kind of cool, man. Like, I dig Jacob Fatu.
He's great. Everyone loves him.
I dig him a lot, man. So that match happened, and it was awesome. And Jacob Fatu.
I have a question for you and Alex, our producer, and for the Frederation. What? If there's an answer to this, I'd like you to leave it for us, comment or send it to us or tweet it or whatever you do. And if there isn't an answer, you can just say, I agree, Jeff, because that sucks. Jacob Fatu comes out of Gorilla, as they call it in our industry, right? And he's got this amazing mask. He's got this really cool mask. Then he takes the mask off right at the top of this 900-mile ramp and then goes down the ramp, then goes into the ring, does the thing to the hard cam without the cool mask that he just wore. My question is, why is this always the case? Andrade wears this cool mask out, but then takes it off at the top of the ramp and then goes down. The Bludgeon Brothers take their masks off at the top of the ramp. Well, like, even Cody Rhodes wore this like Iron Man kind of skull mask. He took it off at the top of the ramp. Like, What are we doing? We've got all these great, cool masks. Wear them into the ring. I get don't wrestle with it. You don't have to wrestle with the mask on. But, like, why are we leaving them at the top of the ramp? I want to see the mask. Let's do it to the hard cam. Wear it in the ring. You paid for it, wrestlers. Let's see the mask.
In Jeff's defense, we are both huge mask nerds.
We love masks.
We love them, all right? I just gave a bunch away because I ran out of room. Not wrestling masks, don't worry. Some of the other ones, like the superhero masks, the ones you wouldn't care about. Right. We're big mask dudes. We really like masks. I don't like when the mask comes off either, but I never even thought of that until you said it. And then I was like, oh, yeah. And I was like, Andrade takes his mask off too early, too, before you even said it. And then you were like, and Andrade, why are you taking your mask off?
Because I want to get a good look at the mask. And also, like, it kind of like... I don't know. You have a perfect opportunity when you're in the ring to like kind of sell it to the hard cam and
then
whatever,
take it off and present your pretty face. No, I'm with you.
And if someone is going to argue, Jeff, no, that's not true. Some people do wear it to the ring. You're just playing too many video games because the developers don't want to have him take his mask off. Trust me, I did my homework on this, and they're all leaving their mask at the top of the ramp.
All right. Speaking of masked men, let's get to your favorite match of the night. El Grande Americano.
The greatest.
The greatest luchador of all time.
That's right. USA, baby.
Versus Rey Fenix, who was subbing in for an injured Rey Mysterio. Jeff, we're getting to watch the greatest luchador that's ever lived in the prime of his career, with one of the most jacked bodies a luchador's ever had. He's willing to cheat, which is awesome. He puts steel plates in his head and then does a flying headbutt off the top rope, which is
you ain't cheating, you ain't trying, baby.
I love cheating, bro. I'm with it, man. Cheaters in wrestling rule. Eddie was the best for that. So he cheats. He's got the moves. He's got the gracias. I love when he does gracias.
To make a mariachi band wear American Mexican wrestling masks is the funniest thing I've ever seen.
And such a heel move of all heel moves. And he's got the commentary team fully behind this as far as helping push the story together. They call him El Grande. They call him Americano. Sometimes they just call him Chad Gable. They don't give a fuck. And they have so much fun with it. You can see them all enjoying it.
Great idea.
It's such a great gimmick. I don't know who came up with it, but shout out to the creative team. If it was them, if it was Chad, who was like, yo, I got an idea. Shout out to Chad. If it was both of them, you guys are doing great stuff. And I still think Chad Gable is one of the most underrated dudes.
Yeah, he's so good.
He's not undervalued. They paid him to stay there. His contract was up and they paid him. So he's not undervalued. WWE knows what they have with him. But he's so underrated, and I think he's so good and talented. And he's one of your favorite dudes. So please wax poetic about this match and your love of El Grande Americano.
I will. I don't know if I've ever said this on this podcast before, but I have an anecdote that when things get so good, they're not yours anymore. They become the world's, right? Somebody invented pizza, whether it was in New York or Italy. No one cares anymore because pizza is just world food now, right? Oh, a hamburger, that's American. Shut up. It is such a good idea that now it's world food. You can have a burger anywhere in the world because it's that good. Sushi is so good, we don't go, oh, is it Japan? It's world food. Things just become so good that they're for the world. Now, luchador wrestling, in my opinion, has always been the most superior and the best. I am a huge fan of it, and with a very big tip of the hat and respect to Mexican culture and the luchador culture. But that don't mean that we don't love the luchadors in America, my favorite country in the world. So to just spin a story that you're the American luchador is so beautiful. I kind of wish that it wasn't a negative thing, that we were like booing America for doing it. Yeah, I would love to see.
I think it's wrestling. I think you see people cheering too. I think there's people that are doing the hey, he's a heel, I'm booing thing, and there's people that are like, nah, fuck that, I love it. Like I'm
booing it because it's naughty and it's like it is the bad
it's
guy
naughty,
thing. But I would love to maybe someday in the future see an American luchador who's just an American who loves being a luchador, who loves lucha wrestling, who loves the mask, who loves the culture, like a Ricochet wearing who can do all the luchador things as a respect to it, but he's like, I'm American. I would love to see that. That's my point. But loving this story, and the story is so good, folks, that it's going past WrestleMania. They didn't tie up that story. They didn't demask him to reveal that it's Chad Gable. They said, no, this story's not ending here. We're going to keep this cooking. And so it was a really great way to do it. Unfortunate that Rey Mysterio got injured, but we still got to see Rey Fenix, which was awesome. And Rey Fenix did a great job.
Dude. He crushed. He was so good.
Awesome. He was just literally lights out. And I think that match was by far one of the highlights for me. I also got to be like a little troll in the audience. I kept chanting USA, and people were like, "This guy, he can't." Oh my
God, dude!
But anyways, I loved it, and I'm a big fan of the story.
All right, you guys. Please don't forget to subscribe to this podcast, share, and give us those 5-star ratings. Our bosses like that stuff. Make sure you follow the show on our official Instagram account, Wrestling with Freddie. And from the team here at Wrestling with Freddie, we'll see you Thursday on Unsanctioned Thursdays. On behalf of Jeff Dye, our man in the field, I'm Freddie Prinze Jr., your man in the sheets. What?
Whoa.
And we'll see you guys Thursday. Peace.